All right. Hey, folks, we're going to continue working on the new campaign. I'm running from my home table as a DM, using a mix of Spelljammer and Eberron setting for the basis of an Asteroid belt mining campaign. We're going to give me a second here to check my signal. I'll go through my intro, and then we're going to just continue working on development of the campaign. So give me a hot second here to check my signal, see if I'm coming through. Mic check, mic check. Here to check my signal, see if I'm coming through. Yep, sounds like I'm coming through A-OK. So cool, we'll do that. I'm going to boost notification across the interwebs that I am up and running. So give me a hot second here to kick through that stuff, and then we'll be able to get to work here. So just as my quick intro spiel to keep you distracted while I press a bunch of buttons, my name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition since Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica was released back in 2017. I'm a big Magic the Gathering enthusiast, so Ravnica is one of the cornerstone settings of Magic the Gathering, and that IP is owned along with Wizards of the Coast owning Dungeons & Dragons. It was a kind of a peanut butter chocolate sort of thing, but they didn't have any color mana in the Guildmaster's Guide, so I said hold my beer, and I created a color mana spell point variant rule system that replaces the 8 schools of magic with the 5 colors, and replaces spell slots with a mana tap system. There's a ton of books in the description down below that lean into that stuff. You can check it out. All my work has extensive free previews. Buying any of my work is basically encouraging me to make more of it. So thanks a lot to the Spelljammer Preservation Society for being so awesome with all the content that is placed on that subreddit. I just posted that I'm live on Twitter, so if you want to get notifications, if you're still on the Twitter X platform, you can follow me at Phil Kearney. Great way to help support the channel in general is to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications of when I am live in the future, which is often, at least 6 days a week, maybe around 9 or 10 times each week. And then I usually publish something on Sunday, though, that depending on how busy I am. So here's the full playlist for all the previous episodes. We're currently like around 350 episodes of developing the Spelljammer stuff. So we are right now diving into a Google Doc, and this will be available for folks to playtest when it's ready enough. I'll be posting the link to this. It's a read-only document, but I'll be posting it in my Discord channel. And if you want to get notification, or if you want to access my Discord, you can swing through my Patreon and the About page of my Patreon. It'll have an updated link. I think the link is still good now for accessing my Discord community while you're there. You can check out the free content that I produce on Patreon, and if you want to continue supporting shenanigans like this in the future, buy something and follow me and give me support on Patreon if you are interested. So cool. All that intro aside, we had been, for the past few episodes, we were defining. So I've got 6 people playing as a co-worker lunchtime campaign that plays once a week for 1 hour with 6 players. We know that attrition is probably going to end up causing a couple of them to bleed off in the next few months. But while we still have 6 people at the table, I need to build as fast and fluid a system as I can so that everyone has an opportunity to be engaged and contribute to the success of the team during the 1 hour that we have. The way that I'm structuring it is that the team owns that the players, in a nebulous sort of decentralized form, owns an asteroid belt mining operation that is in orbit around Eberron. They extract wealth they extract ore from the asteroids that are in orbit. They ship it to the Moor Hold, which is a dwarven smelting facility, which then converts it into ore for sale on the market, and they get a cut of currency in return. That currency is a meta currency called resources. And so we're not using any actual gold pieces or anything like that. This is a loose influence system where you can spend a point, and as your guild gains higher and higher ranks of, how would you put that? Of influence or size or importance or relevance to the campaign, as you gain ranks 1 to 5. You start at 1, you'll end at 5. And once you have 5 ranks, you'll get more and more resources, but the things that you want to do will consume more and more resources. Kind of like casting a spell for anything that you want to do as an organization. It costs like mana or spell points or spell slots, depending on what kind of a system you were to use. It'd be anywhere from 1 to 5 points that you would have to spend. And as your team acquires, you have to spend points to acquire territories, so you invest in territory. The more territory you have, the more asteroids come into your territory for you to mine and extract resources from. That gives you a larger pile of resources to spend on more stuff. So that's the 4X civilization side of it. That there's various downtime activities that are basically group checks or ability checks that your guild makes as a background activity. That is honestly it's an adventure hook generator that you assign your guild in 4 different industries, different tasks that they want to perform. And as they perform those tasks and give the players updates whenever we do an update session, which is basically every 10 days inside of the campaign equals 1 month of table time. And if it wasn't such an extrapolated campaign with only 1 hour per week, then we could potentially do like a 4-hour session, run a one shot, and at the end of it, accumulate resources, reallocate them, and then when we come back to the table next session, we resolve what the results of that 10-day transaction was, and we queue up a new adventure for the team to perform. At the end of that adventure, we get the result of the updates, and then reallocate resources, rinse, repeat. The goal isn't so much for your character to gain power, but for the guild to gain power. The characters are very BX, Shadow Dark, one-shotty sort of affair where the characters can be expendable and easily replaced by just spending some resources from recruitment efforts by your guild to just bring in a new party that you can just randomly roll up and replace your previous team. So you could, once you have higher ranks as an organization, you can purchase higher rank parties. It goes from rank level 1. It goes from rank 1 to 5. Basically, corresponding to every 4 levels that your character gains in 5th edition, you gain a proficiency bonus from 2 at 1st level up to 6 at 5th level, or at 5th rank, right? 17th level goes 5th rank. There you go. Like using half-casting progression. 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. Those are your 5 ranks. You see that in the Martial Powers book that I've been developing that will be playtesting in March. Once I get this off my plate, we'll be diving back into Martial Powers to continue developing that toolkit and playtesting that among just a general open populace. And so we'll be seeing that again probably at the beginning of March is when we'll start playing with that again. So for now, you have characters that rank from level 0. They can start off as 0 level characters, and if they survive the first session, then they go from level 1 to 5. Every time you survive a session, you gain a rank. So you start with 0 sessions on your belt as a 0 rank. It costs 0 resources to have a 0 rank team. If you wanted to recruit if you were 5th rank and your team gets TPK'd, you could spend 5 points in your guild's resource to hire a replacement team and just randomly roll up a new team. So the way that you build a character is you have a stat line. Your base stat line at 0 level is +3, +2, +1, 0, 1, 2. You distribute those amongst the 6 stats that you're already familiar with: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. But we've broken them into 3 different aspects, which is very similar to Cypher system, where there's power, competence, and resilience. Power is force of personality or just straight up muscle. Competence is just being a sharp mind, or dexterity representing prowess and skill in physical activities. And then resilience, your constitution is indicating your physical hardiness, while wisdom is indicating your willpower. So you allocate these six modifiers to each of these stats. You gain proficiency in one aspect. So as you gain ranks, your proficiency bonus rises. There we go. Proficiency bonuses, they rise. So at first rank, you'd have a +2 proficiency bonus. And so you would apply that, like if you wanted to have power as your proficient, like if you're playing a fighter type, if that's how you're envisioning your character, then you put a +2 there. Whenever your character The sequence of action is players roll all dice always. The Dungeon Master is just assigning a difficulty of scale of 1 to 10, just like in Cypher System. The way that the difficulty is translated into 5e is that difficulty times 3 plus 1 equals the die roll that you need on a 20-sided die plus modifiers to hit the target number that you're seeking. So a difficulty of 10 out of 10 would be a 10 times 3 plus 1 equals 31, which is the high end of bounded accuracy. A d20 plus 5 from a stat gain plus 6 from proficiency is a natural 20 equals a 31. So we'll obviously have things in the system that allow you to cheat past 31 as your upper limit, but that is a good way of framing the scale of possibilities. Because if you're only going to be proficient in one aspect, that means that 1/3 of the time it's impossible for you to hit that DC 31 unless there's unusual circumstances that would allow you to exceed that. So you assign your stats, then you assign which aspect you're proficient with. Whenever the player rolls makes a check, whether an attack roll, a skill check, some sort of ability, something. You're always rolling a d20 plus adding your modifiers. And you're going to rotate through these different aspects in any order that you want. But if you want to, say, use your power to attack, and then if the DM has you make a saving throw or like a defense check of some sort because you're being targeted by something, since power's already been used, you can only use competence or resilience. Those are the only two options that you have left. So let's say you use competence, then it's your turn again, and you haven't had a reason to use die rolls at any point at this time. The only die roll that you would be able to make as your action would be resilience. So you would have to use resilience regardless of what those bonuses are. You can always instead choose to use a help action to give someone else advantage on their die roll, and doing that resets all of your aspects. It's like if you wanted to use power and then you wanted to use competence as like a saving throw, and it's your turn again, and you could either take an action with resilience and reset all your stuff, or you could use your action to give advantage for somebody else's action, and that would also then reset all of your stats. So then you would be able to, next time around, you could decide, well, so you can rotate between what am I strongest at? Maybe I want to hold off that attribute for when I know I need to use it. There's neat little cheat systems inside of here. Like for example, in combat, if you're a combat specialist, right, and you pick up a perk that says sacrifice movement to share defense roll with one ally, you would be able to, like when you're making each round, if you're making a default defense check, then you could make that like guard action, and then if you had the ability to grant that guard action to other people, then when they have to make their guard action, they could just use a dump stat, knowing that you're going to give them your high, like say power is your defense, like say you're proficient in power. Let's go with resilience. Say you're proficient in resilience and constitution is your highest stat. So you have like a +6 to your die roll. Meanwhile, like the spy over there only has like a +2 available to them. They could have a +6, but that's burned right now. So right now they maybe even have like a -2. You could cover that spy, eat your action, eat your movement to grant that spy that extra action, and then you could use the help action during your turn, so that as a support tank character, you would always be abandoning your action so that you could constantly refresh your aspects. So you could always roll resilience every round to grant other people on your team bonus, better defense scores than what maybe they would get for themselves. So you have the ability to rotate through that as a means of like metagaming the system, which is going to be fun to playtest. So that's why I'll make this document available for folks to playtest once we clean it up, so you guys can take a look at it, and if it's super cool, we'll make a thing out of it. But so those are some of like the ideas about characters. They can cast spells. It's a very Shadow Dark system of cast a spell. The Dungeon Crawl Classics, I think, does this too. You cast a spell, you make an ability check. If you fail the check, you lose the spell. That's also a very Maze Rat sort of thing to do. So Cypher, Maze Rats, Shadow Dark, Dungeon Crawl Classics. These are the different systems that I'm pulling from to basically build this customized game experience. So it's kind of 5e. It stays inside the bounded accuracy, but it's as much cipher system and index card RPG as it is 5e at this point. So I'll still use it for the memes. But let's see. Right now, we want to look at more tasks. So let's see. I've got a timer going, and I've got about I've got like maybe an hour to mess around. Let's see. What time is it now? I've been on for 15 minutes. Yeah, I still got about 40 minutes for us to fuck around. So the characters side of this is essentially done. We have the extracting resources for the different types of asteroids that are in orbit. We've got that taken care of. Here is the environment that we're looking at. Here's hub, and then you have a setup somewhere around the exterior of hub. So the team is going to decide tomorrow if they want to be in this area, or this area, and then I will build out the challenges that they face from there. Each of these regions are claimed territory by different nation states. The Aranel Elves, the Droam Monsters, the Sarlona Dreamers, and the Dargoon Greenskins. They all have different positions in space, and the United Humanoids of Corvair have basically all this near orbit stuff that they're kind of competing in territory with the Elves, the Monsters, and the Greenskins. So there'll be give and take in these different squares. Each of these squares is a 10,000 mile territory. So it'll be up to the team, and depending on which region they want, 1, 2, or 3, is going to kind of theme what type of challenges are they going to face. If they're over here, they're basically between the Monsters and the Elves. If they're over here, they're between the Sarlona Dreamers and the Dargoon. If they're over here, they're between the Sarlona Dreamers and the Monsters. So there's like high hostile area. Sort of peaceful, but hostile area. Like all these things are hostile. So you have to have a military presence as well as a mining operation to extract the wealth. You have the military presence to be able to defend your mining operations as they extract ore, which everybody wants. And then the military side of it is having jammer ships, star vessels to defend your asteroids, using a Magitech artificer framework for fantasy tech magic. So those are some of the ideas that we're putting in place here. We already have the extraction figured out. I guess, let's see, looking at delving. Since I'm going to start them on a delving mission, they're going to start on an asteroid. And something is going wrong with that. Like they discover, so when you go on an asteroid, the higher value the ore inside of the asteroid, the higher chance of some sort of a threat or monster existing on that asteroid. Higher rewards, higher risks. It's just it's the gamification of the system. So high value material just naturally attracts monsters to it. Go figure. So when you go to an asteroid and you start mining it, at some point there's a chance that you're going to discover a chasm or some sort of something is going to come out and attack the mining crew. At that point, you need a delving team to go in and basically monster hunt and clear out the threat. So the delving adventure experience is basically a 5-room dungeon in a cavern setting. You don't know what kind of monsters or what kind of environment. I mean, it's going to be a cavern environment of some sort on the interior, but depending on what kind of material it is that the asteroid is built out of is going to influence what kind of creatures are in there and what kind of environments are, what kind of biome exists inside of that asteroid. So, let's see. We're building delving operations right now. I think what I actually want to do is set up. I want to have delving here, and then I want to dive down into the character because I feel like I'm going to be working two things at the same time. I think by fleshing out the delving experience is going to help me flesh out action economy in general. So I've got a vague idea right now of how action economy works. Actually, I feel like I'm being pulled to doing that right now. So let's continue working on that. The only species that we can be are dwarves, gnomes, and warforged. So that's fun. They each have their own little perks. So there's we're looking at character builds, procedure, distance banding. We're using distancing instead of absolute square footage. We have active and passive actions. Let's see. Bruff. 6 people. How do I envision this? I got 6 people at the table. If I have each person take actions in turn, I guess the best thing to do is to go around and go around the table and collect the actions that they want to take, and then have them process their rolls, and then provide results. And it's a player's roll everything. So whatever they attempt to do, whether they're successful or not, is going to create If they don't succeed at the task, it creates complications. So they have no challenges until they fail something, at which point they start to have challenges put on their plate that they have to overcome to continue proceeding. So like in a dungeon delve, if they want to explore a room, there could be monsters in there. So if they have a good observation, they'll notice there's monsters in there and they can engage them. If they don't notice the monsters, then they're going to get ambushed. That feels like a good thing to do. So everyone would process, and since everyone is basically grouping their actions, they can't dogpile an ability check. But at best, what they can do is add help to a die roll, and you can only add help once. So if I'm investigating, like if I'm searching a desk, and somebody else wants to help me do that, then that's basically you're done with your task. Anyone else that would have an action would have to pick something else to do. So we would all process actions together, and if you choose not to do anything, you just don't do anything. So that's your action. So we process round by round in that manner, and you are welcome to skip actions if you want to, but if other people are doing something, you can just chip in your action economy. So so we could decide as a group what we want to do, and then move on. That feels right. Team, all choose actions in order, then all resolve dice. Successes are reported. Fails create complications. So if I have everyone process their dice together so I can get in a collection of success versus fails, I could then spin out the narrative of what they did that worked and what complications arise during that process between things that succeeded and failed. Let's see. Turn. Let's call them game turns for now, for lack of a better word. Character action economy. There's active actions. There's passive actions. Equals D20 plus mod equals skill die, rank die, plus mod fail equals mod success equals mod, fail equals 1/2 prof bonus. So 0 to 2 equals +1. 3 to 4 equals 2, and then 5th rank equals 3. So at 1st rank you have a D4. So if you're making, so you have one active and one passive, and you can convert an active into a second passive action. And these are actions. Active actions are things that you're actively investing time in doing. Passive are more incidental things like drawing a weapon, opening a door, doing a quick look into a room without investing time in like doing an investigation into it. We should probably actually start listing out what these different things are. Let's see, active actions, passive actions. You can trade an active action for another passive. You can you can do anything as an active or as a passive. The active allows you to add your rank bonus. That's what, okay, so let's see, how do we word this? Active actions and passive actions are all the same thing. It's just, you get 2 actions per round, and movement counts as one of those actions. If it's an active action, then the result, there's ability checks and then there's progress. Progress has a hit point dial, kind of like index card RPG. All things, if they are progressive challenges, each of those progressive challenges has a stack of hit points that have to be whittled down. As a passive action, where is my chart of hit points, of progression points, as it were? There we go. So here's our progression, right? If it's just an ability check to succeed or fail, it's binary, either yes or no, and so that yes or no thing can either be passive or ooh, that is a good point. I'm thinking about the difference between active and passive. So if the only trigger on these things is a progress bar, if I go, okay, so everything would have a value. Like it would be, this is like the number of hit points of progress you need to make to complete a task if it's a progressive challenge. So a 1st level character could have like a +3 proficiency bonus and like a max of +3 of their stat. And then they would have a die roll that they make. And at 1st level, it's a D4. At 2nd rank, it's D6, D8, D10, D12. So a D4 plus your proficiency modifier would be a D4 plus 3. So if it's a second rank, if it's a difficulty of 2, then it would take 10 hit points to complete the progression of that challenge. And a first level character is going to roll their best stat is going to be a D4 plus 6. So they can potentially complete that task in one action. If it's their active action, they can do that once. If it's their passive action, they'd only get their proficiency modifier, and at first level, that'd only be a +3, which is impossible for them to complete unless it's a 0 effort task. 0 effort tasks only require 1 point to complete. What is the value in having the DC also equal maybe as you whittle down points it gets easier to do, so the DC drops. So the result of your die roll is the amount of damage that you do to the progression of the task. But you're going to be rolling a D20 all the time, so that's going to be insane. So you'll be able to knock down tasks in no time if you do it that way. Jesus Christ, we could potentially even just get rid of the D20 altogether and just make it a point progression system of D4, D6, D8, D10, or just your proficiency modifier. Huh. That's worth considering. Let's go with the fool I'm afraid I've been thinking. A dangerous pastime, I know. All tasks equals ability equals a check. D20 plus mod. Defense equals pass fail equals pass fail check. So, strength, dex, con are your body. Ka, int, whiz is spirit. So, body and spirit. So whenever whenever a character has to defend themselves, they either have to do so with body or spirit. Different types of adventure can lean into different different aspects are the 3 of power, competence, and resilience. The stats are the 6. aspect, and what would be what's a synonym for aspect? Feature, detail, point, ingredient, strand, angle, slant, sense, respect, regard, outlook, exposure. Synonym for classification. Synonym for characteristic. Attribute. There we go. Attributes. We have the 6 attributes. We have the 3 aspects. Facet. That's not a bad word. Maybe we go 3 facets and 2 aspects. Let's look at that. Define aspect. A particular part or feature of something. The positioning of a building from an aspect with another. Define facet. A facet is one side or aspect of something. Hurdy-her. If you're thinking about quitting your job, you should first consider every facet of what your new life would be like. Facets are a type of aspect. There you go. So it should be one facet. And there's 2 aspects. Two aspects. 3 facets. Power. Go. Not every action requires a resolution. Hey, timer. I'm trying to think through the process here of what they're doing. Searching space. What would that be? Starting traps, negating hazards. Hazard. How do you neutralize a hazard? Is that the word that you use? Neutralize a hazard? Doesn't seem right. Disarming traps, fighting monsters. You have one active per turn, and then and then one passive. One die roll. One die roll per turn. Be the die roll plus whatever stat you're using. So, what if it's just two actions? Whatever two actions, is there a problem with rolling a die for two actions so they have equal levels of importance? Some actions just don't do things, don't need a die roll. So there's progress, and then there's pass fail. Pass fail progress. So pass fail is a single pass fail equals single check yes no. So is there any intrinsic problem? Because sometimes you're just going to need to do things. So how much do we want to parse out stuff? You have 2 actions, which could be movement or object interaction or attacking. Also maintain. So okay, let's build a list of stuff that can be done. Attack, movement, interaction, observation. This is starting to feel really good. So actions. Attack, movement, interaction, observation, casting, spell casting, interaction, equip, maintain, focus, which is like maintaining concentration. Yeah, die plus mod, or just mod. That works out. Oh shit, it can't be die plus mod because you could have a negative mod. Die plus rank. No, you can't do that because... Yeah, die plus rank. Yeah, or just rank. Boom, 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 boom. Is that how we want to do that? Die plus rank. Is that too simple? It's either pass fail or pass fail progress. Right. Because a guild, if it's a downtime activity, is D20 plus rank plus your die is the ability modifier, and whatever the result of that is either going to be pass or fail, complication or success. For in-game, it's either going to be, it's just going to be your die. It's just going to be the rank. It's whatever your ability focus, whatever your ability check is, based on stat and whether you have proficiency in that aspect or not. And if it's pass fail, it's either success or complication. If it's if it requires progress, then if you succeeded, you'd roll a die and add your rank, and then that's how much progress that you make. So at first level, target number, where'd my target stuff go? So at first rank, it would be it'd be a D4 plus 2, or just a flat 2. So your progress for any difficulty 2 task is only a progress of 10. But you could potentially like mega boss fight stuff would be rank 6, because you'd have a D20 plus at best plus 6. So you'd still have to roll a 13 or better to succeed at this, and it's either going to be pass or fail. And if it's a progressive, then it's going to be you'd have a D4 plus 2 to your die roll. So at best 5 successes with perfect rolls, you'd be able to knock this out in 5 rounds, as opposed to 5 failures. You automatically succeed. So it'll be anywhere from 5 to 10 tasks, which means it's like a group activity, multiple people knocking this thing down together. But even if you fail at your roll, you at least have your proficiency. You at least have your proficiency modifier worth of progress. So that's good. I think that works. A middle of the road, difficulty 4 is only a DC 13. Because keep in mind, you're probably going to have on average like a 0, anywhere from like a -1 to a -1 to 3 is going to, or -1 to +3 is going to be the general range of activity. So a moderate challenge is going to be middle of the road here as a 4. No, it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is probably better represented as average. Like at first rank, you're going to have, in some cases, a -2, -1, or a 0 to your die roll. So the cap that you want on the DC at first rank characters is going to be a 19. Meanwhile, 19 is an average die result for something that has a +6, right? So, or it'd be a good roll would be like a +9. So that's basically a 10-sided die that you're rolling with a -1. Minimum of 1, max of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really? Maybe this should be the cap. That doesn't make much sense. He's going to cap. Should I do it like that? Does that make sense? So I could tell them what the difficulty is, so that they can gamify it and know for themselves which aspect they want to use, since they have to rotate through their aspects. Or is it aspects? Yeah, and it's facets through their facets. Is that what we settled on? 2 aspects, 3 facets. There you go. Just looking for words real quick. Not seeing any other use of the word aspect in here. How are we doing on time? All right. Since we're disintegrating the difference between active and passive activities, active observations can be made with a move instead. Let's see. Observations roll with advantage. Add +2 when rolling defense. Sacrifice an action to roll 2 rank dice. I'm not convinced about this yet. Yeah. Facet. I think I'm out of time. Yeah, I got 2 minutes. All right, so, well, this is where we're stopping for today. So we're going to make characters with the team tomorrow. I'll give you guys an update on how that's coming along on Friday. And, hey, anyone that's interested in this stuff, thanks for checking it out. I will see you guys. I'll be back tomorrow morning to do more Spelljammer combat and exploration artwork for this book that we're going to be releasing in D6 plus 5 days, depending on how soon we can get it done. And then on Thursday, we'll do that again in the morning, and we'll be back in the evening to do more Eberron art. On Friday, we'll be back in the morning to do more Spelljammer combat and exploration artwork, and then back at lunchtime to give an update. There you go. And then Saturday, we'll do our workbench. I'm not sure. We'll probably do Spelljammer stuff on Saturday. Hard to say. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the other side.